Hi, it's Olga here. I'm back to blogging after a holiday break. The inspiration for today's card is a couple of pictures I have made a while ago. I liked that frosty river so much that I have also made some little watercolor paintings. And I thought, why not make a card as well? As always, for this type of cards, I will need 3 pieces of cardstock, a panel, a frame piece, and a card base. The measurements are in the screen. I think I'm going to start with a frame. This die is Cattail Landscape by Memory Box. Actually, all the dies I'll be using for this project are by Memory Box. So I have positioned it at the bottom and die cut it. I'm using a paper trimmer to make a frame 3/8 of an inch thick. I will do it on the remaining 3 sides, but I'm leaving a gap between the cattails and the cut line because I can see exactly where I'm cutting. So I will use a good old craft knife and a cutting mat to cut the line straight to the die cut pattern, and then I can detach the inside of the frame. I'm using my scoring board to round the corners of a frame, both on the outside and inside. If you are not familiar with this technique, I will put a link to the tutorial in the description of this video, and it is also in the screen right now. You can see the frame now has some dimension. I will use the frayed burlap distress marker to color the cattails. And for the grass, I have chosen old paper. I have die cut more wildflowers, and I'm going to color them with old paper marker. You can find the full list of supplies in the description. I'm applying frayed burlap distress ink with my fingertip. To create the snow, I'm applying some white gesso onto the grass with a synthetic brush. Now I'm going to take my panel and use a die called Country Fence Oval Frame. There was actually no fence in the original pictures, but I think it fits perfectly, so I'm going to keep it. The next step is applying antique linen distress ink all around the edges of the frame. I'm also applying the same ink onto the wood plank embossing folder, placing the panel inside and running it through the machine. I will repeat the same process one more time to expand the pattern to cover the whole panel surface. I have decided to use the white frame instead of ivory one to help it stand out more. I'm going to flip over the panel and a frame and work on the wrong side. I'm just using some strips of painter's tape to attach the frame back to the panel. Now I'm applying adhesive behind the riverbanks as well as under the oval frame. I'm doing that to attach a piece of vellum right where the river should be. It will be great for the frosted look. I have used only the top portion of this die, it's called Deer in the Trees, to create some intertwining trees out of brown cardstock. And now I'm going to stick them to a piece of kraft cardstock with a white glue. I'm blotting off the excess glue with a paper towel. It will be totally invisible when it dries. Then I'm adding some gesso for the snow effect, just as I did for cattails. I am mounting the panel onto the kraft background. Then I'm sticking this whole piece onto the card base. I'm centering it and pressing it firmly to make it adhere really well. Now when the gesso is dry, I can finish my frame. I am just arranging the cattails and wildflower stems at both sides of the frame and gluing them down. If there happens to be any excess, just trim it down. I'm also using strips of tape at the back to secure the stems. As the background seemed too dark to me, I have decided to dab some picket fence distress ink right on top of it with a sponge. This ink is semi-transparent and it will just tone down the whole thing rather than paint it over. Now I can mount the frame right on top of the card. At this point it seems like something is really missing in this card. There's actually no focal image, and the perfect solution for this problem was this little bridge die. You have to cut it twice, and now I'm showing you how to assemble it. It's really easy to do, and then you have a tiny image, but it's very detailed and dimensional. The bridge will go right to the center of my little landscape. Now it's time for some final touches. I'm using my white gel pen and adding some falling snow to the background. And I will use the same pen to make some dash lines on the surface of the river. Then the card can be called finished. Here are some more cards created with similar techniques. Just click on the picture to watch the tutorial. I wish you a happy new year and I hope to see you again really soon.